So you want to get started in wargaming. So let's talk about how to start uh, miniatures gaming for beginners. I know a lot of times we overlook this because we've been playing for 30 plus years, but there are a lot of people right now that are getting into it. They got introduced to it maybe over COVID, or and the hobby is expanding and increasing in popularity. So here's a simple step-by-step guide that I put together for you, and I hope you will enjoy it. Number one, choose your game. Just pick a game that you like. Decide what genre that you're interested in. Is it historical? I don't think I'd start off with Napoleonics, but Blucher is a good rule set if you do. Fantasy. A lot of you are coming out of D&D, maybe some other role-playing games, and you want a little bit more meat on it. I know D&D 4.0 has a really good wargaming system built into it. So if you're comfortable with that, you could try that out on a mass, battle scale versus just having a bunch of characters, beat up on an orc or something. You can try more of a wargaming in that way if you're coming out of D&D 5th edition. Lord of the Rings, there's a lot of Tolkien and Tolkien-esque mythology out there centered around Western Europe, and I know that there's a bunch of games set in the Asian fantasy universe. So, the world's your oyster if you're into those two genres. And of course, science fiction or science fiction adjacent. Popular games, probably the biggest gorilla in the room is Warhammer 40,000 or $2 billion company. If you're into sci-fi, again, this is a golden age for gaming right now as far as the accessibility to miniatures, accessibility to rule sets. We know not every rule set is for everybody, but there's a lot of different miniatures lines and rule sets and aesthetics more than there's ever been in the history of the wargaming business. And if you're into historical wargaming, of course, put your training wheels on and you can get out there with bolt action. And of course, we have our guard system, which you can play all of these genres in for consistent play. If you don't want to go rules hopping or jump from game system to game system, we can lock you in to the guard system, and you can play across everything from World War I all the way up to sci-fi with Guardians of Luna that we release in July. Another thing you might want to do to help you is just simply, learn the basics. Understand the rules and the mechanics of whatever system you decide to choose to get into. You can find, like I said, rule books are online, at our website, gaddisgaming.com. The Guards rule system is there, and then every flavor of rules that we have from there on, whether it's World War I or World War II or Cold War, with our Vietnam, Curtain of Iron, World Divided. And YouTube is your friend. There's tons of online tutorials and how to play videos to help you get started. And if you get started, what are you going to need? You need to gather some supplies, some basic things, like a tape measure. If you're coming from role playing, you probably already have accumulated some dice, but you're going to need D6s tend to be really popular. We use D10 in our game system, so you're going to need at least 20 of each of those, as well as you can use other game dice to count the number of turns that you've gone, things like that. D20s to count damage. There's a lot of different ways to use dice, but you're going to need dice. You're going to need a ruler. You're going to need, if you're going to start painting your miniatures and not have them sent out to a studio to have them painted, or have a friend paint them, or get them 3D printed from Hero Forge online, already painted, printed in color. You're going to need paint and brushes and brush cleaner, brush soap, X-Acto knives, painter's tape. Paper clips are good for unclogging super glue bottles. You're going to need super glue as well as plastic glue. Um, there's a couple of different paint lines out there. The ones I like right now, the rattle cans I use are Army Painter because they're, I got into rattle canning uh, my primer on Krylon is probably cheap, so I can get it like $2 or $3 a can for base primer. But then for like certain colors like Army or German Gray or Army Green, I tend to use Army Painter. I have a full set of Vallejo. I have Citadel Contrast. I love the Army Painter Speed Paint 2.0 speed paints that got me through so many miniatures this year. I highly recommend it if you're getting into it. Like I said, it's like talent in a brush, but it allows you as a beginner to do some really solid paint jobs with zenithal highlighting, some dry brushing, and then the speed paints or contrast paints. They'll get you where you need to go. But those are some of the tools that you'll begin to need if you're playing and or painting. Measuring tape, dice. I know when I first started out, we were out on my dad's kitchen table, and we had we were using cans of beans and 5 pound bags of flour and sugar as our buildings before we were able to actually start purchasing drink. We were like 8 years old. But we were also, and then when Christmas would come, we'd be excited. Like if somebody got a new printer or something in a box with that molded cardboard or molded plastic, because we would take it and make buildings out of it for BattleTech and stuff. So I remember like little jewelry boxes as buildings, glue them together, stack them up, and paint them. It was a lot of fun to do that craft. You that paper grafting with Elmer's glue and construction paper and foam core. I mean, it's a great time. But now you can get fully painted terrain that's absolutely gorgeous and well worth, the few ducats that you're going to spend on it. Building and painting is part of the hobby. Assembling your miniatures, cleaning mold lines, taking them off the sprue. I come from a model airplane background, so on Thursdays I'll get together with my dad and we build model planes, 148 scale airplane. So I was used to using sprue snips and glue and paint and stuff. By the time I got into miniatures gaming, I was doing commission work for people's D&D characters. One little cleric or wizard or elf at a time. But it was fun. But that is a part of the hobby is collecting and painting your army, and that's part of the fun of it, because you can personalize it and make it yours, so that no two will be alike, right? Your army, if it's elves, will be different from somebody else's army just by how your paint scheme is. So you got that going for you. And then the fifth part of this is going to be finding community, finding a group of like-minded people. If you're in Europe, I know they have game clubs. Over here in the United States and Canada, it's a little different. We have game stores where we go and play, and it's a great way to meet new people because you share this interest in gaming. I've showed up at plenty of stores where I didn't know anybody. I had 2 armies and had a little sign that said looking for players, and people came over and they're willing to try it out for an hour or two. So it's always good to find and play with people, and building an army together. If you guys start off together, doing something, that's always a great opportunity to make new friends and build a good gaming circle of gaming friends. Set a day. I'm going to be here every Sunday or every Saturday at this time to play. And people show up and you play together. And maybe you might have one in your community that you don't know about. Go to your store, put looking for players. Put a little help wanted sign up that you're looking for people, to play with at your local game store. I'm sure they'd really appreciate it. Having people come in and play, and having someone dedicated to help support people playing in the stores versus in somebody's basement. I know it's always very easy to do that, to go into the basement and start playing, but you're missing out on building a larger community and introducing new people to the hobby when you do that. I know a lot of our older players don't do it because they're infirm and it's hard for them to get around, and it's easy for people to come to them. They're well off. They have giant hobby basements with everything you need. Um, but for younger players who are just starting out, it's really important. Get out of your basement, go to a store, meet some people, and if you don't have a community, build one. You can be the anchor person, you know, and you may find players that can offer support and advice. And of course, there's always the opportunity if you bring two armies to play with someone. Um, you know, go to a local convention. Start playing games there. Test some games out. See what you like. See what feel good to you. See what rules you like. Ask your friends what are they playing and what do they like and what do they like about it. Because casual gamers are very different than tournament players. So you're gonna need to find a group that suits your play style. Um, uh, you know, Experience, of course, is going to be the best teacher. So get out there. I don't pass judgment on a game until at least I played it 4 times. Because playing it through the first 2 times, you're just learning the rules, and you might be getting something wrong, and so you have to really play it to really feel what it's like. I mean, there's games where I first played, I'm like, I don't know about this. By the 4th game, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. So get out there. Throw some dice on the table, get together with some friends, let that experience wash over you. Don't be afraid to make mistakes as you go. Nobody is a master of a rule set when they first, throw it down on the table. So make sure you get those experience and, get some time on the table. Remember, the key to all of this is to enjoy the process of building and painting your armies. Have fun with your miniatures. Conversions. Are something that I'm starting to enjoy. Just adding little unique things to them. And there's always people out there. There's Gaddis gamers that are willing to welcome you into the wide world of miniatures gaming. So it's up to you to take the first step. Get out of the house, meet some people, talk to some friends, get together, and throw some dice and have a good time. All right. Remember to like, share, do all the things, but most of all, happy gaming.